Welcome everyone to the day 3 of Inspired Conference. We're very excited to have all of you here. We're going to start with our first session. It's NEP Spotlight Foundational Literacy and Numeracy by Alpana. Alpana is a Director of Training and Impact at Teach for India. She started her career as a copywriter and content creator for online media. She is a 2011 Teach for India Fellow where she taught 64 fifth graders in Mumbai and 27 third graders in Chennai. Post-fellowship, she joined staff as a training manager for literacy in 2013. And for the past 6 years, she has worked on different portfolios aimed at student, fellow, and program staff development on the team. In 2016, she completed the Systems Leadership Accelerator Program with Teach for India alumni. She is currently a 2018 Fellow in the Conscious Leadership and Transformation Fellowship by Teach for All Network. Welcome, Alpana, to the session. Over to you for the next 15 minutes.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, over to you for the next 15 minutes. All clear.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here with you all. Thank you, Ellie, for that beautiful introduction. So I'm going to talk a little bit about foundational literacy and numeracy. And I just thought I'd start off by sharing my journey as a teacher. So these are my kids that I taught in Chennai. This was a first year intervention classroom, which meant that I was teaching them for the first time. They had not had a Teach for India intervention before. When I started, my kids really couldn't read basic letters or much of counting or numeracy skills. And after a year, I could see the growth that they had shown and how their parents are also changed. And that sort of inspired me to start on this journey and focus on literacy and numeracy. I'm a big believer that every child should be able to read and write. And I think that opens many doors for them. So that's why I'm here. So today our session will have 3 big parts. The first one is just thinking about why. Why is this shift really important? The second thing we're going to look at is what do we really mean when we talk about foundational literacy and numeracy? And third, we're going to look at some things that we as educators or parents or students can do to work towards this. Yeah. I'm going to start by asking you to guess what this number might mean. Yeah. Think about the population of our country. Think about the number of kids going to school, and just try and guess what this number is. I'm going to talk about this number very shortly. So over the last few decades, this is how India has grown, right? We are 1.38, I would say, billion people. This is where our life expectancy is and our literacy rate. The National Literacy Mission defines literacy as acquiring the skills of reading, writing, arithmetic, and the ability to apply them to one's day-to-day life. This number that we saw is the number of people currently in India who do not have these skills. Now look at our country, think about what you heard Karthik Muralidharan say or what you heard Praveen sir say, and think of the impact this number has on our country and on our lives. Every 2 years, Pratham releases an annual status of education report where they examine households and children and think about, ask children to do basic maths problems, ask them to read letters and sounds, basic paragraphs. And so every 2 years, ASA releases a report. What I'm going to show you now is a very short clip to understand what is the status of education currently.
A whopping 97.2% children living in rural India are enrolled in schools. A record that for the first time leaves less than 3% students out of school. But are children in elementary schools really learning enough? Well, as per the latest ASER survey results for the year 2018, the data shows that learning hasn't really results for the year 2018, the data shows that learning hasn't really kept pace with the enrollment. The nationwide survey, which is conducted every 2 years, paints a grim picture of the state of learning in elementary schools across rural India. Here's what the data reveals. About 50% students in class 5 in both private and government schools cannot read a class 2 level text like letters, words, or a simple paragraph. Nearly 27.2% students in class 8 cannot read the class 2 level text. Only 44.2% class 5 students enrolled in government schools can read class 2 level text. Only 27.8% of grade 5 students are able to do division. Over 56% of grade 8 cannot solve a 3-digit by 1-digit division problem correctly. While these figures...
Yeah, so lots of numbers, right? 50% of kids at grade 5 cannot read, percent of kids at 8th grade cannot do maths. And these are not just numbers in rural areas. I taught in Bombay and Chennai, and I saw the same gap even in my kids when I was teaching, that many kids could not read basic words, could not do basic sums. And we can only imagine the impact that has on a child's life. In the 90s, there was a University of Kansas research that started to look at what is a relation between socioeconomic status and word gap. The concept of word gap is about how many words children hear at different age groups by different socioeconomic status, right? So as you can see on the graph, low-income students or children in low-income households hear about 600 words per hour in their families, whereas a high-income child hears 2,100 words overall. Now, when you look at the difference, what is the impact of that? Praveen sir in his keynote was talking about social economic disparity that exists between, let's say, IG curriculum or ICSE curriculum and what happens to kids going to government schools. The research also showed that vocabulary has a direct proportion to how students perform in higher grades. So if a child is learning only 600 words at age 3, it's very likely that they will also not perform as well compared to their high income peers. The research showed that there are around 30 million fewer words that children are learning by that age group in this socioeconomic status compared to their high income peers. As you look at these numbers, just think of the impact it has on a child's life, right? So the first impact would be just the child's socio-emotional well-being and their safety and how they think about themselves. Imagine being a child who meets another child and cannot read what the other child is reading. Along with the socioeconomic, socio-emotional impact, there's also the impact on performance, on how many concepts and skills children can learn and graduate from school. As graduation rates decrease, it also has an impact on their employment. And if people are not employed and doing meaningful jobs, that can also impact how we look at our world and change. The OECD report that came out shared that strong literacy and numeracy skills are key factors to determine graduation and fruitful employment. Without these skills, and in this world which is highly globalized right now and highly competitive, it can affect morale and confidence and be a big deterrent even at a global level. Now, what are some causes behind this? So again, multiple research studies are showing what are some key factors that are leading to this gap in foundational literacy and numeracy. The first one is a child's age when they enter schools. As you know, the foundational years from when children move from Anganwadis to junior KG or senior KG and then to first grade is quite unorganized right now. So some children enter at age 7, some children enter at age 6, but where they enter impacts how much they can learn because of their own cognitive development. When I talk about cognitive skills, it's very simple skills like, can I distinguish between different colors, between different shapes? Can I arrange from big to small? Can I differentiate between letters and numbers, or are they just drawings to me? These two factors play a key role when children are entering the formal schooling system. And when they start reading big books and big stories, it affects their confidence and further increases the gap with which they enter school. So child's age and their cognitive abilities are one of the key reasons behind low literacy for many children in India. The other factor that plays a big role is the mother's education level. You might have heard about this in previous talks as well, but if a mother is a graduate or has passed school, there's high likelihood that the child can also read and write. But currently, given our mother's graduation rates, many households do not have an educated parent who can also build these skills in their students. And finally, teachers' abilities. Last but not the least, as you know, many of our kids in this foundational stage are in Anganwadis, and many Anganwadi teachers do not get the right support or development to really foster child development and literacy and numeracy building. Now, why is this important? The NEP states that currently there are around 5 crore kids who are out of this learning system who are not having basic literacy and numeracy. And if nothing is done, in the next few years, we could be looking at 10 crores kids being lost from the learning system due to a gap in literacy and numeracy. So what are we setting out to do? The National Education Policy has set up this really ambitious aim right now to have every child by grade 3, which is age 8, acquire foundational literacy and numeracy by the year 2025, which means that when children enter our schooling system, let's say from ages 3 and 4 till the ages of 8, they should acquire basic foundational literacy and numeracy skills. Now, what do foundational literacy and numeracy skills actually mean? CSF has basically released a very simple report to share what does foundational literacy and numeracy mean. The first one is basically just identifying letters, initial sounds, reading simple words, reading very familiar words, to listen and understand, and orally read with fluency and comprehension. Fluency means I can read properly and in a decent pace, and comprehension means understanding. Foundational numeracy, which is a child's ability to just identify numbers. What does 1 or 2 or 3 mean? To discriminate between numbers, which is a larger number, which is a smaller number. Find missing numbers. So if I give you 1, 2, 3, and 5, can you say what will be the missing number after that? And then solve basic addition, subtraction, and word problems. You saw a sample of that when I showed you some assessment items. Many of our children right now cannot do these basic things. And so how can this be achieved? Again, the NEP has put down quite a few good recommendations for how this can be achieved. I'm going to first talk you through about broad policy level changes that the NEP is recommending, and then talk about simple strategies that we as educators or parents can also implement. The first one is just pupil-teacher ratio. Currently, as you know, many of our classrooms and Anganwadis or lower grades have around 70 kids, 80 kids, and so on. The NEP is recommending a ratio of 30:1. And for disadvantaged classrooms, it's going down to 25:1, which means that 1 teacher for every 25 students, so that teachers can pay special attention and ensure that kids are learning at a good pace. The second big piece is around teacher curriculum and training. Teachers cannot teach foundational literacy skills unless they know what to teach and they are trained in the right pedagogy and approach to do that. So the teacher curriculum and training is a key part of this strategy. The third one is, again, children at that age learn best by play-based learning. Montessori and so on have again shown multiple times that children learn when they're doing activity-based learning or play-based learning. So there will be a play-based learning module introduced between moving from first grade, so that children can pick up literacy and numeracy skills faster in a more fun and engaging way. And last but not the least, I think it's very, very important, is the role of nutrition. Nutrition strongly affects cognitive development. So along with the midday meals, the government is also thinking of providing breakfast, which can aid in children learning better. Yeah. So these are some of the bigger strategies that the NEP has outlined, and it's upon different state governments now to make implementation plans to make this happen. As we know that these changes can take time, so what are some things that we as teachers can do ourselves? The first thing I would like to just talk about is learning to read from reading to learn. This is a big shift in our teaching approach that we can all use. And Karthik also referred to it in his talk. The first one is fluency, to teach kids explicitly how to read sounds, letters, join them together, read fast with expression and understand. The second one is comprehension. So it's not just about teaching kids a story or the moral of the story. It's teaching kids how can I read a sentence or a paragraph and use different strategies to understand it myself. Can I visualize and imagine what the story is like? Can I make connections to my life to understand it better? When children can learn these things, they are learning to read. Then they can move to a stage which is called reading to learn. This is when typically by grade 4 or so, we expect children to pick up a book and read to learn something. So I want to read more about dinosaurs. Can I do that? I want to read more about cars. Can I do that? I want to learn about photosynthesis. Can I do that? children can only go to a reading to learn stage after they have completed their learning to read stage. The other things that you can do is just around your houses, in kids' classroom, just create really print-rich environments. There are very simple things to get children to know simple action words, for children to learn different math concepts through it, for children to play games and learn through it. It's right there in your environment, and that plays a key role in child's social development as well as cognitive development. The other thing is just games and activities. When it comes to maths, you can always look at numbers, or you can actually play with blocks, match, build your reasoning skills, or you can get children to make their own comics. Very simple things, but you can harness children's own creativity to help them build communication skills. This is one of my favorite strategies, which is drop everything and read, that I used in my classroom, where you let children just stop everything, pick up a book that they like and read. They might not understand everything. They might only look at pictures, but that builds their curiosity to want to read more difficult text and more complex text. And so I would have 1 hour every day where children would just drop everything and read, and they progress to reading much, much more difficult texts. And finally, I think just making learning fun. This is one of my favorite photos from my fellowship year when I was a teacher, is to tell kids, how can you bring reading, writing, maths together by creating your own word problems? So Aishwarya was my co-teacher, and my children would make simple word problems where they could apply, right? So I am not doing that work. They're themselves creating simple word problems that I have to solve, and they have to teach each other. And so with that, I think I'm going to bring this session to a close. Thank you so much for engaging with this. I hope this gave you some spark and some inspiration to build these skills in our children. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alpana. I think this is very easy to understand. I was also just telling my colleagues, it's very easy to understand what you said. I think NEP is a very long document, but then you just completely shorten it down. And I think the best part for me was the last part where you told specific actionable things that teachers can easily do in the classroom. That was very helpful and wonderful. Thank you so much.